It started raining, so I'm going to clear the greenhouse. These tomatoes are still going and ripening, still on the vine. So I'm loath to take these down, but I'm going to sort out a few things like the peppers and aubergines, which are done now. I mean, this one has got masses of tomatoes still on it, so I'm a bit reluctant to cut it down. Oh, missed an aubergine. But yeah, this needs to be cleared out. Just came into the plot, and first thing I noticed, where did this come from? Then I looked up, and it's fallen off the roof of the shed, so I have to find another piece of glass that size and then replace it. It's never ending, this place. Just when you think you've done the job and you don't have to do it, something else comes along. Right, the rhubarb is done now. It's just about finished. In a couple of weeks or a few weeks I can come and dig these up and move them, and I can sort the rest of this bed out. This door, the panel has come off. These are internal doors, they're not meant to be on a shed, so they don't last very long. And this side is the same, this bit's coming off, that side's coming off, so I'll get some panel nails and nail it down. It was okay last week, and once it starts it just goes and all that glue's come off, so it's just getting worse, so I need to sort that out. We haven't been able to find a piece of glass that exact size because it's an odd size, so I'm going to replace it with a piece of perspex, and it's taken some home to cut, but there's a forecast of some rain, so what I'm going to do is use this piece of perspex. It's not the same width, but just to temporarily fill most of that hole, I'll put that on with just a bit of tape just to stop the worst of the rain getting in. Right, that's done. It'll hold it for a bit. There's a little gap there, but at least for the moment it's going to be okay. There's that little gap there, but it's only like about 4 centimeters, and right underneath it is the compost. With this table, it doesn't matter because it's really old and tattered, and it's got to be replaced anyway, so a bit of rain here doesn't matter. So long as it kept the shelves, because I don't want these shelves getting wet, and it's had a bit of soaking in the past, and you can see that it's starting to go a bit, but don't want it getting wet again, so that'll hold it for a bit. Now that the nettles have died back a bit, I can sort out this corner between this compost bin and the greenhouse. It was a right mess at the beginning of the year, but I pulled some out so I can see what's what. There was quite a lot of brambles, and they're going in here now, so filling this up quite rapidly. So the front of the greenhouse, there is a lot of brambles. There's also bits of glass and things that I've got to get rid of. There's a lot of brambles. And that side was all full of brambles, which I'm tackling as well. Right, well, I've cleared that corner. Now there's some big bramble roots that sort of go in and tuck themselves under the greenhouse, so there's going to be a big job. There's another one there. It's a bit of a pain. And then that bath, I need to move the bath before I can get behind it and sort stuff out. And got some dry stuff that Tony can burn, and piled up a load of stuff back here. Also cleaned this up, tidied this up, so now that side of the greenhouse is not covered with brambles and privet. I've taken some of the privet off. I'll give it a bit more of a trim in the spring so that this is all kept under control and it's not shading out that greenhouse. And there's a lot of rubbish to clear out. This is another sort of rubbishy corner where things have been dumped. I will figure out about what to do with that bath, but this area can be cleared now. If only we had a skip, I could get rid of some of this rubbish, but God knows when that'll be. I'm pleased with that. I can tidy that up a bit and sort this guttering out, connect that up, and I think I'll just let it for the moment. Just dump water, because I've got quite a bit coming off the roof and those barrels are full, this bath is full, so I don't really need to collect all of this, so I just let it just run off until I can get hold of some more barrels, and then I can do something here, but for now this is fine. Well, it's made a huge difference having that privet and brambles cut back. It's a lot brighter in here now because it was basically blocking the sun from this end of the greenhouse. It's time to clear all this stuff out. Now that the compost bins are ready, I can clear out this stuff and put them on top of that. There's still a few tomatoes ripening, so I might leave one or two plants. I mean, this is still so I might leave a couple of them, but most of them are done. Aubergines are done, peppers are done, so they're going. Okay, the greenhouse is now cleared and it's all added to the compost bin here, so we'll add some more leaves on top of this. I've trimmed back these brambles a little bit to stop them trying to get into the greenhouse, but still got that bit to do, and later on in the year or early next year I'll dig these up and clear this whole area. Then I can put comfrey in this area, something actually useful. The front of the greenhouse looks better than it did. It's still got a few bits to do. Fortunately, we're still not going to get a skip anytime soon, so I really have nowhere to put them. And the same with this lot. There's a lot of rubbish back here, a lot of bits of glass through the hedge. But I've got nowhere to put them. I can't throw them out till we get a skip. So this will have to wait. That will have to wait. I'll fix the guttering. Right now, both of these barrels are full, and that's just off the shed roof. Even in the summer, I really didn't need any more than those. I could put a third barrel here, and then that would be 3 barrels, and that would be plenty for watering the greenhouse, and the stuff out here will not be needing much watering anyway, so I don't think I'll need any more. Today's the 18th of November and the strawberries are flowering and fruiting. I mean, it's a crazy year. Strawberries in November. I mean, the raspberries are still going, but I wouldn't have expected strawberries this time of year. Right, the next job is to sort out this bean bed. I'm going to take down all these, put them in the shed where they dry. Then the buttercups, I'll dig those out, manure this bed, and that'll be ready for the spring. So that'll be another job done, and I can put that out of my mind. There is a bit of weeding, but that's to be expected. Now these bottom 2 beds, I'm going to leave the strawberry ones alone for now. This one I'll sort out later. This strawberry bed does need a bit of a weed, but I'll leave it alone for this year. I'm not going to mess with it. This is the bed that had the pumpkins and squash in. It's still quite weedy because I just put some pumpkins and squashes in pots and then just mulched around it, and it's stopped most of the weeds but not everything. Some grasses and stuff came through and I pulled them out, and just, well, the grass can just stay on top, it'll rot down. What I'm going to do is all the privet trimmings that are coming off the hedges will go on here, and over the winter all these leaves will drop off and become a mulch for this, and the worms will mix that in. There's a bit of wood chips and stuff in, but over the course of the winter this will be just a dormant bed, and it will eventually all become nice soft bed. Now I will eventually redo these beds because they're not the sort of shape I wanted, but that's what they were, so I'm stuck with them for the moment. But eventually I'll redo these. But for now, this year, I'm just going to put a load of privet on top of this, and that will keep it covered, and the leaves will mulch down. And then I can take, I mean, I've got woody bits like this, I mean, they'll never compost. So, you know, I mean, that's the size of, you know, compare that to the size of my hand. It's quite, you know, it's thicker than my thumb, so these aren't going to compost anytime soon. So once the leaves have gone down and it's dried a bit, possibly over the summer, it can be burnt. But there won't be much, and there won't be any smoke because it'll be dry. I mean, it looks like a lot because it takes up a lot of space, but if you flatten it, it won't take up much space. And you know, if I squeeze it down, it just goes down to nothing. It's just the branches go all over the place, so it looks like there's a lot, but there isn't. So that's the plan for this bed. Got things like brambles still growing out of the paths and things, but I'll deal with that. The strawberries have gone all over the place. It's a right mess. I need to sort this out. We've got some potentially dangerous bits of metal sticking out, like this post. I mean, things like this are not a problem because they've been hammered in, but this sticks out and I can't hammer it in anymore. So I'm putting little pieces on top as markers, and that will stop me potentially leaning over and poking myself in the eye with it. Can't really miss that. There's another one. This one's not so bad, but I'll put one in anyway. There's others that's sort of hidden away, and I could actually trip over them. Some are low to the ground, so I just put these on, and that will stop me potentially tripping over things. This is just at the edge of this hedge, so as I go around it is overgrown, so I could catch myself on that. So that is not very visible. You can't really miss that. Health and safety. I've tripped over this many times because the weeds just grow and you can't see it. Potentially I could actually fall onto it if I trip up and fall onto it. So that's that one, and put one on top of that one as well. So can't miss those. I mean, it's a bit of a dull day, but these are bright pink, so you can't really miss them. This bath is nothing but weeds. Now there is a lemon balm here on the side of it, but the actual bath is nothing but weeds. So I'm going to just put something on top of it and forget about it for now. I might dig out some of the worst of it and then put something on top and forget about it for this year. And once I've got into this bed, it's quite good soil. It's just absolutely covered in weeds and perennial roots like dandelion and a lot of buttercups and things. So what I'm going to do is dig out the rest of it. I mean, they do come out, but they've got quite deep roots. I think I can do it one-handed. Still want to pull them out. If they come out, they don't come out. You can see they've got quite deep roots, so and obviously I haven't got all of them, so they'll come back. So I'll dig it out, get rid of all of these, cover it with some weed fabric and leave it for a year, and these roots should mostly die down, and then I'll plant something in there and just deal with the odd weed that comes out. Yeah, there's a lot of roots of perennial weeds in this, but I'm getting most of them. This is not everything that came out of that. It's about half of it. So this was absolutely chock full of weeds. But I think that looks like it. Yep. Another dandelion. Try and do it without getting the whole root. There we go. Oh, no, I stopped it. So there's a bit of dandelion root back in there, but I can deal with that later. So this bath is done. What I'll do is I'll put something to cover it and let the roots, and some of it will come up, and I can just lift the fabric, dig those up and cover it back again, and that would eventually kill them, but it'll take about a year or so. I mean, I could plant into it and just keep weeding it, but if I don't need it urgently I might do that. Saves effort. Now the bamboo canes on these bean trellis is mostly smaller canes that I've tied together in the middle, and next year I think I'm going to use the washing line technique. Just trail it up that, then I don't have to mess about with this thing every year. Take them down, put them in, muck about with them. So let's take these down, put them somewhere out of the weather so the bamboo canes last a bit longer. Well, these can go in the greenhouse over winter so they don't sit here in the weather. It does feel a bit strange just having this space opened up again. And these were not a great success. These sticks had a lot of trouble getting things to cling onto it. Even cucumbers that cling onto anything had a job. So I may not bother with these again next year. I know they're free, but they're not that good. So I'm not going to use sticks again. Despite the mulch, obviously this bed needs a good weed because I didn't weed it whilst the poles are in place, so it's gone a bit crazy, so that needs doing. But it shouldn't take long. I mean, there's stuff like buttercups, they always keep coming through, but most of the other weeds, like these, they just come straight out, so they're not a problem. Just get rid of them. This area under the apple tree that I cleared earlier this year was again overtaken by brambles and nettles, and I needed to put another bag here to put all the other weeds and stuff that I need to compost down. So I've had to go and clear it again, but it was a lot easier the second time round. And this gooseberry, I've decided it's no good, didn't do anything, didn't produce anything, and I've got far too many anyway, so I've cut most of the branches off and I'm going to take it out. The other thing that's in this area is the rhubarb, and this one, whilst the other rhubarb is dying back, this one has started to come back. I think this must be an early variety, so I'm going to leave this one. And amongst all this bramble and so on rubbish, there is some loganberry, and you can tell the loganberry, it's not quite as spiky as blackberry. I mean, you can see, if I grab it without getting myself all stung, you can see that one is quite thorny, got nice big thorns on it. This has got small thorns on it. So that's the loganberry. I've got to be a bit careful going through this lot, but I've cleared a bit of space so I can get another bag in. I can put some more of the weeds to compost down. I mean, these bags were full, and I've added a bit more. They were like half full, and they've had, what, from May, they've had 6-7 months to rot down. So it does go down quite a bit. And I put all the bits of the gooseberry in there that I've cut. Even with these 2 bags, I think I need another one, which will go here, and it forms a sort of a barrier around this area, because the other side of the fence, you can see it's nettles and brambles are galore. So I'll see what I can do with this area. But I think once the apple tree fills out and this gooseberry's gone, this will be a nice little seating area. I'll have to watch out and do something about the rhubarb, but we'll see what it does this year, because I only got the allotment in March and it was already producing, so I think it might be one that produces early and then doesn't do very much. So I might keep this one. Let's get rid of this gooseberry. I might have a bit of a job digging it out, but we'll see. It doesn't help that I've actually put these bags to the roots of it, but just have to be careful that you don't end up falling backwards, because there's a lot of brambles and nettles behind me. Easy just to cut the roots. Right. I'll see if I can find a home for it. If not, it's going in the compost. There is 1 or 2 people probably interested in gooseberries. I'll put it on the Facebook page. See if I... Oh, there's another little one. There's a couple of little ones as well. give those to somebody if anybody wants them.